Turn the dial, turn it loud. Miami's pride, make us proud. CanesWear crew, you hear the crowd. Hurricanes ain't backing down. Every play, every score. Raising bets and raising roar. Rocking orange, green galore. All for one and one for four. We got FTSN, taking names, winning again. Podcast fam, till the end. Tune in, now let's begin.
Hello and welcome back to the CanesWear podcast with Brett and Gio, and Mondo's going to be joining us soon. We're going to do about a 90-minute podcast or so today. We're going to try to come back tomorrow. We're going to do this a couple of days a week. Lots going on. Obviously, I don't know about you guys, but it's still tough to get going this season. It was just, Gio was just amazing that year. The year we had, just getting into the playoffs, the excitement of that, to see our name, pop up on there and like, wow. And then Texas A&M beating them, beating Ohio State, beating Mississippi. Every game coming right down to the wire pretty much. Ohio State we had, but still it was that game could have gone either way late. And then the game actually came around to the wire too. We easily could have won that national championship game also. So it was a great year for the Canes, as every Cane fan will admit. It looks like we're going to pick off right where we left off. Coach Mario was at the Watsco Center for the game, the basketball game, the announcements. A lot of excitement right now for coming up. So everybody that's a Canes football fan is pumped. Spring practice coming up soon, the recruiting, the NIL, so much. We've also got, since we are all about the U, we also have the basketball team with the biggest win under Coach Lucas, beating North Carolina wire to wire, as they say. Amazing victory, Gio. Just the team, after winning. Then we lost to Florida State, correct? After Boston College, or no? We played Boston College and then we beat North Carolina. Was it the men's or the women's team that lost to Florida State there in the middle?
The men's had lost to Florida State as well.
So we had a tough game.
Yeah.
Just couldn't put it together. But then sometimes that's what happens. We're looking ahead to North Carolina, and we got them. I mean, right after they beat Duke also, so it was even better. Just got a controller on destiny. If we can get in the tournament, Coach Lucas, what a year, first year. Had to replace the whole entire team and did it. And then we got Canes baseball setting up, and we had that amazing run at the end of the year last year to advance further than we've advanced in many years. So a lot of excitement in Coral Gables right now, a lot of excitement for us Canes fans. I know football is number one and everything else is number 10, but it is exciting in the offseason to see the basketball team do well. We did go to the Final Four a few years ago under Coach L. The baseball team, which has 4 national championships of their own. So it's an exciting time in Coral Gables, exciting time. Remember, we are brought to you by the Finstalk Network. Subscribe and like. And we also have the CanesWear as the sponsor. CanesWear the spot, Miami and South Florida fans shop. And, we got lots of new stuff coming in all the time. A lot of exciting things going on. People are asking me, Brett, what's new? What's new? When are we getting the new stuff? When are we getting the new? That'll be coming in as I got a lot of new baseball stuff. We'll have football stuff coming too. Basketball stuff, lots happening at the store, a lot of excitement everywhere. I mean, if you're a fan of the orange and green and you bleed orange and green like we do, this is a great time to be a Hurricane fan. So thanks for joining in. We're excited about doing these podcasts. We're going to do them more often. And without any further ado, the man, the myth, the legend himself here is Gio. Welcome, Gio.
What's up, Brett? Off season in full swing right now. You're absolutely right. Baseball season beginning tomorrow for Canes baseball. Malachi Tony will throw the honorary first pitch of the season on the mound tomorrow. And you're absolutely right about that basketball win for the Hoops program. Absolutely massive. Jay Lucas gets his first signature win under his belt for this program. I think it's incredible because around this time a year ago, April, May, around that time, Miami, they basically had like no roster. The entire roster had to be completely reconstructed. It was clean slate, bringing all these different transfers, freshmen, guys that are contributing this year as well, like Shelton Henderson and Dante Allen as well. Wishing the best and hoping for the best with Marcus Allen and his medical situation that's going on right now. However, just incredible because I don't think many people thought Miami would be as good as they are this year in hoops. I think it's come as a shock to some people. I know most people were expecting like a transitional year where, maybe they'd win some games, but they'd lose some as well. And they wouldn't be like the most cohesive team this year. They've exceeded expectations in year one. So a lot of credit to Coach James and getting that group to gel together. I think I can't say much more great things about him because it's obvious, it's evident at this point. I think recruiting, at least for the hoops program as well, has gone to another level. And I think there's more to it that fans are going to see in these upcoming years in terms of how Jay Lucas is in the talent acquisition market. My only concern here, I don't want to scare people, obviously. My only concern is, do other big programs around the country kind of look at this with what he's doing with Miami and, well, already his resume with Duke and all that beforehand, and try to say, hey, maybe we could try to poach him or whatnot. Mm-hmm. I know Miami, they will pay him well. That's just one of my small little concerns, but I don't think he's going to just up and leave from something that he just started as his very own thing, like just right off the bat. I'd be surprised. So very impressive win. They were considered like a kind of like a bubble team going into that North Carolina game. Latest projections, some people think they could be anywhere between a 6 to 7 seed in the big game. So absolutely ahead of schedule here this season, and it draws so much excitement going forward. And as for the baseball program, last year, it was such an up and down year. So much credit to those players and the coaches for steadying the ship through rocky waters throughout that season, because there's times where just fans, even myself, I question, I'm like, it may be time for Miami to make a change because it's not exactly working. And they turned it around near the end of the season. They went on that winning streak that made a little bit of noise in the ACC. And then especially in the tournament overall, they were one game away from Omaha. So exciting times in Coral Gables. And funny enough, as Mario Cristobal mentioned during the Miami and North Carolina game, the hoops game this week, he said, we're entering the golden age of Miami athletics. I like that he said that. I could see it too. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would think that would be a positive for Coach Lucas because, to be around, it's the golden age of Miami. I mean, everyone wants to be around a football program that is doing well. It just brings so much more excitement to the university. It brings guys that want to be part of the university. Besides money, obviously, NIL. You saw with Alabama, they never seemed to have a basketball team. They started winning championship, and their basketball team got much better. Other schools as well. And I just think it's a winning attitude that people want to be at a winning place. And I think Coach Lucas, like you said, he was given an opportunity here. I don't think Duke is getting rid of their coach for a while. But and he could look at a guy like Cameron Boozer, who decided to go to Duke. He's probably going to be a one and done, obviously. But he could have came to Miami. It was Miami or Duke. And coincidentally, ironically, Coach Lucas was the one that went ahead and recruited him. He was his lead recruiter. So when you could put a team on the map, I mean, great, you win a championship at Duke. It's just great, one of many. All right. But you come to Miami and win a championship, you are going to be known forever in South Florida.
Absolutely.
And, now Miami probably could have paid what Duke could have paid or whatever, but I understand he went there great. But can you imagine if that kid would have been on this team? He didn't know, obviously, because he committed before Lucas did. But can you imagine if that kid was here right now with everything else we have? I mean, we'd probably be the top team in the country.
Yeah, arguably a top 5 team in the country if he did come here. Him and the other brother as well.
So I think it's a great thing that I think Luke, a chance to build this program. And if the football team is good again, I just think it's win-win for everybody. I mean, and he's got Coach L there if he needs any help. I know Coach L is, he's active and there for the program. I heard him on the radio the other day. So it's a win-win for him. I don't think he's going anywhere yet. This is South Florida. I know there's basketball in other parts of the country, obviously, but I mean, you saw the excitement, the $50,000 fine. I didn't even know there was a $50,000 fine for storming. And I never heard of that fine, but it's fine. You want to protect people. It's not going to stop anybody. But it's just right now the level of excitement with the football team there, with the basketball team winning, with we got a coach. Nothing against Coach L. He did great for us. Got us to the Final Four. He got us to the Elite Eight. But it wasn't his type of game anymore to the NIL. And, they're going to the Final Four and guys are saying, I may go somewhere next year instead. It's no longer about winning. It's about money now. We know sports, which is fine. But there's going to be players. I'm curious to see what players Coach Lucas is going to be bringing back now that he has a full year under his belt and he has his own players. Because there's a lot of kids out of high school that want to play here. I'm just curious how it's going to be because he's not going to have to bring in 15, 12 new guys.
Well, I think just even from the high school level as well, there's definitely a bump in terms of the talent that they're recruiting. You're talking about 5 stars back to back. You brought in Shelton Henderson. Dante Allen was borderline 5-star. He was like high 4-star. And then Caleb Gaskins, who's going to be coming in now as well. I see nothing but trending up for that basketball program because, yes, the basketball program, they land a big name under – this is not to take anything away from Coach L, but they would land a big name. And then, they would get some underrated guys. They would get guys from upstate like New York and New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. They would dip into those areas. However, give me a second here. The lighting's a little off. There we go. However, I just look at like what Jay Lucas is targeting, like the guys that he's actually after. Mm-hmm. He's going after the kids that the Blue Bloods want. Mm-hmm. Like he's not going after the kids that are, a cut under. He's going after the kids that are potential real NBA draft prospects, whether it's a year or 2 years down the line. These guys are legitimate players that he's bringing in. So I agree with you. I think there will be some continuity going into next year. Obviously, you're going to lose some guys from this squad, but they'll attack the transfer portal as well. But I like the foundation that he's built so far. I think they're a very well-coached team. I do think maybe they can get a little bit better on the perimeter in terms of like being a 3-point shooting team, but their inside game is great. I think that's something that was kind of missing near the end.
We have not. That's one thing. We have not had the inside game since we had the Shane Larkin teams that we had all those big guys inside. For some reason, it seemed like we've been left out of the Connecticuts that have had the Purdue's that have had those dominating big guys. Now, we don't have that dominating guy, but at the same time, we definitely have a good group now. What Purdue? So we were under Coach L also, but now it seems like as well we're quite a few Europeans on the team, correct?
Yes, there's actually 2 of them right now, or I think 3 actually. I'm sure there's 2 though. I know there's Altuntis. There's the other kid, the guard, and I believe there's 1 more.
Now, it'd be great to be the destination. So a lot of these guys have played, they played pro, right? Correct, in Europe?
Yes.
Now it's going to be that kids are playing pro in the United States also. They're in the NBA, and now they're like, okay, I'm going to go from the NBA. Wasn't there recently someone in the NBA that just came back? Okay, now I'm going to go to college. I've been drafted. I know they had somebody on the G League, but now I think it was someone that was drafted that wanted to play back in college. Is that correct? You see that eligibility? Yeah,
that was the Alabama kid.
I mean, you're drafted. It used to be that if you declare for the draft, you can't even pull your name. Yeah. Now you're actually drafted and you're back. I don't know how that's possible because guys, they're drafted. I always said, let a guy find out where he's going to go. All right, they draft him in the 4th round, let's say a football player, or the 7th round. You know what? I'm taking, it's no harm. At that point in time, they ask the guy, if you're drafted anywhere after the 3rd round, for example, they should have, you're in the 4th round, you know what? Do you want to go to the pros or not? And then they say, no, I'd rather stay in college. Great. Let's pick somebody else. I think they could actually do that because they wouldn't even let you, once you declared and say, I'm in the draft, you couldn't even pull your name out. You could only, but now you could actually be drafted and play and come back into the college, which makes absolutely no sense. The Wild West is getting wilder and wilder.
It's insane. I mean, look at Trinidad Chambliss with Ole Miss. A Mississippi judge ruled on it today. They put it was a TRO, and there was also an injunction as well that he said, look, we're going to allow him to play another year. So NCAA can still get involved with that, but he could come back to play a 6th year.
Yeah, so you're asking for – now, he wasn't hurt like everybody was saying about – he didn't have the injuries, right? Other players had.
So Ferris State, the prior college he was at when he was playing Division II, they came back with documentation that he actually was hurt in 2022, so that he would be eligible for another year. It's insane what's going on with college sports now. I know people wonder about like the Muhammad Touré situation in recent years.
Yeah, who was totally injured. That made sense.
Yeah, he had multiple injuries. Cam McCormick, multiple injuries as well. It's insane to see it, guys coming back for an 8th or 9th season. I absolutely get it. I get why fans are like, what the heck? Sometimes there should be some type of cutoff, but it's kind of tough now. Honestly, it really is, because the NCAA doesn't really have any power anymore.
There's no more power, which is, it's changing the rules quite a bit. The haves don't have as much, like the Alabamas, the LSUs. The have-nots are now able to battle with them. I mean, the Indiana, will the Indiana story, will that happen again? I don't know. It's one thing for us to be in there because, we're a little bit bigger of a budget team than Indiana. Yeah. We've got the history, the heritage, but Indiana came out of nowhere. I mean, to win it all. So it's hard to imagine we'll see more of that, but it is possible.
Absolutely. I think the Indiana team was filled with veterans, guys that played a ton of college football, whether at other programs or just multiple years at Indiana. But speaking about football, though, Brett, the Hurricanes, the football program, just this week it was announced, they have 10 guys for the 2nd consecutive year. 10 players will be competing and participating in the NFL scouting combine. I think it's impressive for the trajectory of the program, because you go back to the first year Mario Cristobal was here, they only had, I think it was 2 or 3 players that were invited.
What a difference.
Definitely a huge difference. You can make some arguments there that potential snubs. I know some people have brought up, like, what about Keelan Marion or James Brockermeyer? Some people brought up David Blay as well. But all in all, though, 2 consecutive years to have 10 guys you're sending to the scouting combine, I think it's levels to where the talent level is with the football program and where it's headed moving forward. And also, among those 10 guys, 4 have received different projections in recent weeks to potentially be first-round picks. Ruben Bain and Francis Mauigoa, a lot of discussion for both potentially being top 10 picks. Akeem Mesidor and Keontae Scott, they've both gotten some love as potential late first-round picks. So I tend to believe this. There's always the outliers, because I go back to like the 2014 Hurricanes roster when Alec Golden was still the coach at the time. That team was really talented because they sent a ton of guys to the NFL. That entire offensive line actually in 2014 played in the league. However, that's an outlier, the draft success that team had relative to on-field success at the college football level. So with this year's team, and you see it with other programs like Alabama and Ohio State or Georgia, the amount of first-rounders they've been having year in, year out, coming off the heels of having Cam Ward as the #1 pick last year. Elijah Arroyo, you could have made an argument that he would have been a first-round pick himself if it wasn't for some injury history there. I just think overall, I think Miami fans could start getting used to something like this, where Miami will produce a couple first-rounders at minimum year in, year out, because of where the program has reached. And I think it is sustainable going forward.
No, that's so important because it's obviously it carries over from after they leave Miami, okay, to the combines, which is great. You love to see your players in the combines, the Senior Bowl, and then the draft day, because everyone likes to not only their pro team, they want to see their team picked. And we could have 10 guys, maybe all 10 of them are picked, and we could have multiple first rounders. It's a great thing. And you actually can watch the whole draft. It's like, okay, where 1 or 2 guys are done and we're done, no more Miami Hurricanes. Because more and more people are not fans of the NFL teams. They're fans of the college players in the NFL, especially now with fantasy sports and Hard Rock and everything else. It's like you're betting on players. You're not betting on teams a lot of times. Or you're playing DraftKings. You're playing fantasy sports. You're in a league. It's like, okay, I'm a Dolphin fan. I want the Dolphins to win, but I've got a guy that he scored a touchdown. I'm happy, but I'm going to win my fantasy league. So you got to kind of like manage your expectations in the league. So, and everybody's Cane fan forever. I mean, they may not root for them, Jim Kelly against the Dolphins. They may not, but they're always rooting for Kelly to do well. So if you're a fan of the Canes, it's great to see those guys in the pros. It's great to see all those stats go up. That we've had 5 guys that have been offensive rookie of the year, the most in college and pro football history for a college. I think they were Eddie Brown, back who played with Bernie Kosar, what was it? Edrin James, Clinton Portis, and 2 other guys, Otis Anderson, and I think it was Chuck Foreman. So we haven't had, so I'm pretty sure those are the 5. So offensive rookie of the years, the Canes are, it's not just the recent team in 2000, it's teams before as well. So it's always great to see those stats on Twitter, X, whatever. You're seeing that, okay, great, we're tight end you, we're wide receiver you. Fans love to brag about that.
Absolutely. I think it speaks towards Miami's long-term sustained success from sending guys from the collegiate level to the NFL level. Still hold the record for most points scored in Super Bowl history for one single college. The record that stood for so many years where a Miami Hurricane would score a touchdown every given week of the regular
season. That's still standing, correct? I think that's
no, it broke. That record broke some years ago, but it stood, I think it was like a 13 or 14 years.
I remember it happened when it was first in the warehouse. I didn't know anybody beat that. Is it Alabama or
no one's
beat it. No, we lost. It stopped, but no one's come close to that. Every week, it was just impossible. You think, well, the wide receivers, the running backs, the tight ends we had, it was phenomenal. So it's that's a record that'll be ongoing. I don't think anybody will touch that. But you're right. Also, the Hall of Famers. We have so many Hall of Famers, and we haven't been a relevant program in the last 20 years, pretty much. And we weren't relevant before 1980, even though we had Jim Otto in there. He was the first guy. Then it didn't happen for a long time with Ted Hendricks. Otis Anderson's not in there, and the guy's won the MVP. He's got 10,000 yards. He's a beast. Chuck Foreman's not in there, I don't believe. But a lot of guys are not there yet. It's crazy that we've had so many players and so many of the 2000 team and before in the 80s that went to the Hall of Fame. So
here we go. I got the exact number for you. So the Miami Hurricanes NFL touchdown streak, it lasted for 149 consecutive regular season weeks, spanning from week 15 of the 2002 season to week 11 of the 2011 season. This record-setting streak included over 600 touchdowns from more than 30 different former Miami Hurricanes. The next longest streak at the time was 12 weeks in a row by the University of Pittsburgh. Brett, I think that's a record that will never be
that is, I'd like to know what it's since, because I remember it was first and people were saying, and I didn't even realize it. We still got that record. Here it is. Porter scored. Edrin James scored. I mean, that was what, 2002 to 2011, you said?
2002 to 2011.
That is phenomenal. That is a phenomenal record.
Absolutely insane. And just to even read that portion there where the next closest at the time to that was Pittsburgh with 12 weeks compared to 149.
No, just to have enough players that can score. Now, it's one thing that some places have more linebackers. I can see Alabama may have made some kind of run on us with obviously Derrick Henry and other guys that they've got. But a lot of those Alabama receivers haven't really. I mean, Julio George was good for a while, but then disappeared. Ridley can score a little bit, but not really. Obviously, they got Cooper, who played down here. It was a Cooper. Yeah,
Cooper, he
was good for a little bit, but really, these guys were not. They weren't. Granted, Michael Irvin was before that, but the Reggie Waynes, who was part of that group, Santana Moss, Clinton Portis, Edgerrin James. Like I said, Santana Moss. I said he had quite a bit. I mean, even some weeks had Reed scoring touchdowns. All the tight ends from Jimmy Graham. I think even the announcer Greg Olson was scoring some touchdowns in that. Shockey. So there was a lot of guys playing. So we had so many talent. You said 30 guys. Even Najee Davenport, I remember, scored a touchdown. Okay, Najee got in. Somebody saved the record each week.
Absolutely,
that was phenomenal.
Absolutely incredible what they were able to accomplish with that.
149. That record that's almost as unbelievable, maybe even more than the 58 games, because 149. It's not like you have a ton of people in the league. I mean, even if you have at one time playing. Wow, that is spectacular.
Yeah, it's
no,
I don't think that record will ever be beat. Super Bowl record, we'll see. Miami still holds it. I'm surprised. I'll tell you this. I'm surprised how high up Florida is in terms of the amount of points scored in all-time Super Bowls. Like, they're right behind Miami. That kind of surprised me because, believe it or not, if a Florida Gator fan is listening, sometimes they have listened to this show. Florida's had a lot of guys that have been bust.
Totally.
That they were tremendous college players, but they couldn't materialize in the league. So I was kind of surprised by that, but maybe a couple of guys like Emmitt Smith definitely help you in terms of that.
Definitely helped you quite a bit. He was in multiple. What did he win? 4 Super Bowl, 3, 4, or 5?
Yeah,
absolutely. But Michael Irvin was there. But Emmitt Smith. I'm trying to think who else is. They obviously had other players before that could have been us. Before we were excellent, they were a better team before we were good in the 80s. But you're right. I mean, who are the Gators that scored? I mean, I know Wilbur Marshall on defense. Who are their guys? Ricky Nattiel is a wide receiver. I mean, Steve Spurrier's a quarterback who didn't do much. I mean, who were their guys? DeBose, one running back. Who'd they have?
Not many that I can recall now, to be honest. Ernest Graham is one notable one as well.
I mean, that
Jabbar Gaffney played for a bit.
Yeah, Dre, how many touchdowns did he score in the Super Bowl? I'd like to know. That is interesting. So I've always wondered about that. Which are the Gators? I think that scored those. Did one guy score 50? Emmitt Smith obviously scored a lot.
Let's see. I actually want to take a look at it. See if. No, that's not the correct record. They have the record here of like college players that have won the most Super Bowls, which actually stands for Alabama, but Super Bowl record points. I want to see if they have an individual list. All right, so before the Super Bowl over the weekend, Miami was at 84, Florida was at 82, Penn State 81, Memphis was 75, Georgia, California. Wow. Really good on Cal's part, having 66 points in terms of Super Bowl record. That's really good for a program like that. Stanford with 60 as well. Really impressive for those two programs. But even more impressive, that little old school in Coral Gables with 84.
Absolutely. 100% there.
But yeah.
We got Super Bowls covered. We have the most. We have Hall of Famers covered. We have the rookie. Rookie of the year on the offense. So a lot of things for this Canes team. And we went through that drought of 20 years. It's funny. Did you see that stat on the Bulls? since whatever it was, and we were at least, we've won 3 bowls since I think it was 2014 or so, and granted, 2 of them were this year, and we won the one in 2007. So we're making, and Ohio State had only won 8, I think, and someone 9. And Ohio State got 3 bowls last year, so you can rack up bowl games pretty quickly now.
Relative to before, yeah.
Absolutely. So it's we'll see, to be determined. Very exciting. As we go on these weeks, we'll be talking about the schedule and everything like that. So I know, definitely exciting times for the Miami Hurricanes in all sports right now.
Absolutely. Just baseball season starting tomorrow, basketball getting to the end of their regular season. We'll have the ACC tournament and then the big dance. But as it stands right now, like we talked about a little earlier, current projections, some people see them as a 6 or 7 seed. We'll see if that holds. They still have a few games left, but
they have to obviously not go in a tailspin, and then they have to in the ACC tournament, which would be nice to be playing in again. In the ACC tournament, we need to win. I don't know if we can get a double bye. I don't know what plays for it, if we're going to get a single or double bye, but we need to at least win 1 game there, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It would be nice to, who knows? We could, you never know. I'd love to beat Duke in there when Boozer went over there. And so if we could beat Duke in some way in the ACC tournament or even in that would just be an awesome feeling. Nothing against the Boozer family, wonderful family, but hey, you didn't come to Miami, you got to pay the price.
By the way, quick note before we get into some questions here, because I know the last time we were on here, a big pressing question people had was kind of what was the feedback on early portion of the offseason now that the players are training. Obviously, certain guys being limited to an extent, some guys having some cleanup surgeries and whatnot. However, some early names, I mentioned 3 before of true freshmen that have already come in, like Samarian Wingo and Gavin Mueller and J.J. Dunnigan. But some other names that I've been hearing that have really impressed early on, one of the most obvious is Malachi Toney, with the amount of time and work that he's putting in himself. But a few other names to throw in there, Mark Fletcher as expected, Shamar Brown doing very well in the offseason workouts. Another guy in particular is – he's not going to be a redshirt freshman this year. He's going to be a sophomore this year because he didn't get the red shirt for this year. But Max Buchanan, who I've discussed quite a few times before about someone to watch out for this offseason, getting a lot of good early reviews on him. Herbert Scroggins as well with the pass rushers. Defensive tackle-wise, I've heard good things on Justin Scott early on. And from the linebacker room, Kamal Bonner as – there's a lot of high expectations for what he could potentially be and become this offseason. So just a few names to toss out there. So with that said, not a ton of questions tonight as usual. I mean, no, as normally we have hundreds, a little bit slower.
Show. We'll get back in. It's off season. But I know we have our loyalists and we'll be coming out a lot more. So, good to get back in the rhythm, just to get started and get all those. I'm sure Juan Manuel's in the house and a bunch of other.
Yes, he is. He dropped the question here. Welcome back, Mr. Carter and Who Wants Smoke. Is anything interesting happening in Coral Gables lately? Why is Mario everywhere like a cockroach? He is ECM here in NYC like a press tour. Yes. So it was a fundraising of actually someone had mentioned it to me in my private board. They were at the event that Mario was at, and Greg Olson was out there as well. So basically like a fundraising event with alumni upstate in New York. Coaches in the program, they like to do this during the offseason. They'll make a tour kind of going to different states and cities where there's strong alumni base. So UM, they have a very strong alumni base in New York. Another area as well is actually the Chicago area. Don't be surprised if you see Mario showing up in that area as well in the near future. And obviously your local backyard in South Florida as well. But yes, they do this during the offseason. It's kind of a normal, regular thing. So I'm sure there will be more. However, Mario, I got to give him credit. has not hit the brakes at all since the season has ended. I mean,
Exactly.
they were on the road for recruiting visits with all these kids in the high school ranks. You got a recruiting dead period right now where they can't visit these guys in person, but things are going to really kick back up in March, and the amount of guys they have expected to visit. We're going to talk more about that because we're going to be on live again tomorrow. But tremendous slate they're setting up for March, and even getting official visits set up early on right now. A lot of kudos to the coaching staff overall, and even the recruiting support staff as well. They brought in most of these kids over the past 2 years. They have a head start on this class compared to other years, in my opinion, from what I've seen up close and talking to some of these kids at Hard Rock Stadium after the games the past couple of years. I said it on the last show. I think Miami could potentially have a top 5 recruiting class this year.
Awesome.
I absolutely think it's very possible this year.
Well, that'll be great. If, along with the great job we do in the portal and getting the big positions, that's awesome. And we didn't really have a lot of players leave.
Yeah.
I mean, I was amazed that so many stayed. All of our wide receivers, pretty much, all of our running backs. I mean, that was just phenomenal.
So Juan Manuel has another one. Juan Manuel really stacked up the questions tonight. He said, "Hey, what is the significance of Miami having 3 first-round picks in the 2026 draft?
Maybe 4.
After Cam Ward went first overall in 2025. Does this really help in recruiting?" Absolutely helps in recruiting, because you're no longer selling a vision, you're selling a proof of concept.
Yes,
and that stands for what Miami did in the postseason this year, which is why I've been harping on this in the past, that I felt Miami was a tier 2 team in recruiting, that they could break into tier 1 if they made a nice little run in the playoffs. And sure enough, it ended up happening. The more I emphasize that about how you get into that next tier, how Alabama and Ohio State and Texas and those programs recruit year in, year out, I think Miami's very capable of doing that going forward. They have a lot of attention from national kids this year. There's a strong local class, a strong in-state class as well. You're talking about 3 5-stars very seriously on the board for Miami, potentially a 4th that could reclassify, potentially a 5th. All 5 of those guys are 5-star prospects. Obviously you won't get everyone in the end. It never really works out that way. However, I love Miami's positioning overall just for this recruiting class, and coming off a season like you just had, coming off of Cam Ward, coming off of potentially having 3 or 4 first-round picks. I know there's some people that have questions about like Akeem Mesidor. They say like, oh, well, he's going to be 24 this year and blah, 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 blah. He's a little bit older than the average rookie, and that by the time he gets to his second contract, he could potentially be almost 30 years old. I don't think teams are really going to care about that.
I agree.
Because of the type of player that they're going to be getting. He possibly could have went higher if he was younger, but hey, he's very much in that discussion for first round. And Keontae Scott's getting plenty of love. I think Keontae Scott, if he does very well with his combine, which would not surprise me because his testing numbers coming out of junior college before he got to Auburn and then before he transferred to Miami, they were very good. You're very, very good. You're talking about a guy that's 6 foot, 6'1" range, almost 200 pounds, runs a legitimate 4.4. I know when people say, they probably think like, oh, but what about a 4.3 or whatever? Running 4.4 is very fast, especially at laser time. That's very, very fast. Very few people run a 4.3, even in the NFL alone. So I think if Keontae Scott does really well during his combine, I think he could solidify himself as a first-round draft pick, because he's the type of player at the nickel position that he's a total Swiss Army knife in the aspect that he could play as like an extra linebacker. He's reliable, very, very reliable in coverage. And then he's a proven tackler too. He can bring guys down, and he has ability to blitz off the edge as well. I think he brings so much value to a team and versatility as well. I could see him potentially revolutionizing the nickel position a little
Wow.
bit. I think so. Just how good he is specifically at that spot. I try to think of like other players that could be like game breakers as a nickel back, and I can't think of too many. Like I know Jalen Ramsey did some of that in high school. I'm not comparing Keontae Scott to Jalen Ramsey, but I know Jalen Ramsey played a lot of that nickel during his time at Florida State, and he was very impactful there. Even Derwin James did some of that as well. But I just think the mixture of the type of athlete that Scott is and his coverage ability, really unique prospect, and I think the NFL is going to start valuing these nickelbacks a little more.
No, they're Swiss Army knives for sure. And I think the play against Ohio State definitely had to increase his leverage because that play is
The
seen
way
everywhere.
you read that, oh my
Uh-huh.
goodness.
I mean, the quickness and everything. After those four guys, I mean, who do you think the next group? Jacoby Thomas, I was thinking could be a guy that goes high. Who do you think after that? Those four guys.
I don't think Jacoby will go first round. I think
I mean,
he's
like
more.
third round, maybe.
I think like that third, fourth round range. Markel Bell is going to be quite the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of teams are waiting with him kind of to see what he does in terms of his testing. Like teams off the hoop, they're going to be interested because you're talking about a kid that's 6'9", 330, 340 pounds with the length that he has. I think the biggest thing with him is if he does better than what's expected at that size at the combine, he could really shoot up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think first round because I think he could have put himself in that position if he had more tape. He only has like limited amount of tape. He had like half a season. And then this past year with Miami, and obviously the playoffs helped him a ton as well.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely going to be a team that falls in love with him. CJ Daniels could be a late round guy, very reliable hands, not overly explosive in terms of like the type of athlete you may be looking for at receiver, but very dependable, reliable guy with strong hands, can play through contact as well. That helps guys in those later rounds to be picked up as options. Who else would I bring up? Carson Beck. He's going to get drafted. I don't think first round, but
no, I don't think so either.
Potentially,
I think he's more like a fourth round pick.
Yeah, like a fourth round guy. Someone brought in as like potential insurance for a team. You kind of see as it goes. Some of these guys, when they get to the league, you know, if they're in the right system and, you know, things kind of just click together, they outplay where they were drafted. I mean, look at a guy like Puka Nacua with the Los Angeles Rams. No one saw that coming when he was coming out of college. Sometimes it just takes the right fit and the right team, and these guys just take it another level. But who else I would mention? The offense. Oh, Inez Cooper, who's going to be at the combine. I think he's a late round guy. Could slip in like 6th, 7th round. Who else could we bring up out here? Wesley Bassane, I think, is an interesting wild card because the type of athlete that he is, if he tests very well combine, could be someone that sneaks in late as well. I think Miami's going to have several draft picks this year. If I have to go with my prediction, I think I'm going to go with +7. 7 or more guys get drafted this year.
That'd be awesome. Awesome for sure.
I don't know if James Brockermeyer will get drafted. It's really tough for centers to get love in terms of like the draft overall and teams wanting to use a pick at that spot. But he had a really good Senior Bowl weekend as well. And Keelan Marion's a guy who's a bit of a sleeper as well. You know, some people feel that he got snubbed from the combine. It's tough for all these guys to get an invite. Mostly the way the process even works is that if teams have requested, if more than 50% of teams have requested interviews with players, they get an invite to the combine.
Oh, really?
Yes. That's kind of how the criteria goes.
No, so I think, you know, it's the fact that he's a returner. I mean, they can put anybody. He didn't do that great this year, but last year he was he was All-American, wasn't he, at return?
Yeah,
And
he was
he
an
did have some
All-American kick
he
returner.
did have some great plays, and you can see Miami receivers are scattered around the NFL that have. I think he definitely could have some upside in the NFL. It'd be interesting to see. What's his size?
Keelan Marion,
Hmm.
from what I understand, about like 5'11", 185, 190 range.
All right, so I know that's not a bad size. It's so he's no. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. The draft is what is in April. So
Yes.
it'll be exciting leading up to that. Give that. I mean, the great thing about going so long in the season to playing, and we play in the national championship game on the 18th. Normally, our season is basically over in November. We have a bowl game, but nobody cares about that bowl game. So November, we're just watching other teams play to the end of January. We're 2 months later now. So the season is going to be so much faster coming around. We already see spring is coming up next month in March. And I mean, in the season, it's all of a sudden right around the corner. What's practice start in July or August for the fall?
For the fall, yeah.
So
It'll be
let's
late,
play for the
either late
national
July or
championship every
early
year.
August.
Let's play for the national championship every year, and heck, let's win some. And that's
Cheers.
Brett's quote of the day. Cheers. Let's play for it every year, and let's win them too.
So another Juan Manuel question. He had these preloaded before we even started.
Yeah, he was. Juan Manuel was waiting for us. Thank you, Juan Manuel, for
Said
being.
Gio and Brett, Miss Hudson and Big Bill up here in Chapel Hill. Big Bill thinks eligibility is out of control. Nevada linebacker eligibility 9 years. Aguilar 8. Trinidad 6. Even Bill has age limit of 24 or under.
So
yeah, I didn't even know about
9 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's
I didn't even know about the.
He's 27 years old. Maybe 28 if he was a late starter in school.
I know there's another linebacker who he's a Samoan kid who initially started his career at USC years ago. I think he's like on his 7th or 8th year as well. It's crazy.
God bless these kids. If they can do that. Listen, when I was at college, I remember I was rushing out in 4 years, but there were guys 6, 7, 8 years in the fraternity life enjoying themselves. I mean, frankly, I tell my kids, stay as long as you can. Pack a lot. There's no better time than college. So these kids now are playing football. They're not even going to class anymore because how much can you take 9 years of school? Are on their 3rd doctorate? I don't know. And you're actually getting paid something, or maybe they're just not getting paid. I don't know. As a 9-year veteran of college football, getting paid by somebody?
I'll tell you this, Brett. Look at Cam McCormick. So he went 9 years at the collegiate level, right? And now he's got a front office job with the Patriots now. He's been around football for a long time.
Listen, if you can stay 9 years, you're not going to play in the NFL. You get to hang, you get to, intern, whatever you want to do. You can get paid now. People can take you out. You're around the program. I didn't realize he's got a front office job in there. Did he get that from Highsmith, or he had it before?
I don't want to say for sure on that. I'm not sure on the details how he ended up getting the gig, but I'm sure Highsmith put in a good word for him, though.
I mean, how many of these players, the way they're hiring coaches so young, I mean, will there be a head coach younger than a player one day?
I think it'll happen one day.
That is funny. But 9 years, God bless them. So, all right, Juan Manuel, we know the age limit for Bill is 24, and the kids in college are now 27. I guess it's hard to frown upon that. Yes, I'm going out with one of my students. 26-year-old teacher says about the 27-year-old athlete.
So Juan Manuel, again, Gio and Brett, how is the status of the team health-wise? Players recovering from injuries, Lowe, Lofton, Cole McConaughey, Joel Irvin, Merriweather. I haven't heard anything on Lofton recently, ever since, like the lung situation, the lung and rib situation from that Ole Miss game. However, on some guys you're mentioning there, I from what I understand, last time I asked about it, Joel Irvin and Jamal Merriweather they'll miss a little bit of time. Hayden Lowe is full go though, no problem there. Cole McConaughey is back as well. One of the other guys I'll mention, Samson Okunlola, is recovering upper extremity injury right now, and don't be surprised if maybe there's some guys that miss a little bit of portions of spring. This is just normal par for the course that Miami does around this time of the year, where they'll have guys, just have some cleanup shoulder surgery and whatnot. So again, if there's any others that come up, I'm sure people will see it at one point or another. Who else would I mention, actually? There's another guy. There was one more. Hold on. Drawing a blank now. I remember there was one more there was one more guy that was nursing something, right? Oh, yeah. Dalen Upshaw is not exactly 100% yet either. So just all that will handle itself. But don't freak out if you see anyone like in some arm slings or anything as they enter spring. That's just normal. They do it every single year that Mario has been here. That guys have cleanup surgery around this time of this year. Let's see here. Tell us who is causing a buzz in OTA workouts. Any surprises, especially O-line, Bad Bunny says in take selfie, say cheese. Yeah, so I mentioned some of those guys earlier, some of the other names I was hearing in terms of the off-season workouts. But I do want to remind people, don't take it as like the entire gospel when you hear feedback about a guy standing out in off-season workouts. One thing is workout warriors, and then there's another thing of football players as well. So everything will handle itself when they get on Green Tree.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Brooksville Kane. Gio, are we going after a top 5 QB ever or just staying in the portal? Well, Miami's looking at Will Mankell right now, who's originally from the Fort Lauderdale area. He's out of state. Trent Seaborn, they're still actively involved there with him. They had interest in Gunnar Rivers, which is one of Philip Rivers' like 20 kids that he has. Yeah, Philip Rivers literally has a whole football team going on in his household.
Wow. God bless.
Seriously, God bless him. That amount of
kids. He's got to just run out and play in the NFL just to get out of the house.
He probably thought it's a numbers game. A few of them will play in the league.
You're an athlete like that. Let's see.
So let's see. Any other names I want to mention? Neiman Lawrence from the class of 2028, who I've mentioned several times for over a year now, could potentially reclass down. Miami's not pushing for that right now, but he's a top 5 QB as well. So there's options on the table. Obviously, this is the longest Miami's gone without a quarterback committed in their class. They do want to get it done and handled with this spring, so we'll see.
So, again, what was Darian Coleman? Where was he ranked as a quarterback?
He wasn't in the top 5. I believe he was in the top 10, depending on which website you look at. Most had him like just right outside of the top 10.
Okay. So the point is, again, you bring in a top 5 quarterback, you got to pay him. And he may never play. Yeah. So that's money that's tied up, because nowadays we know what the recipe is now. All year round, you were saying from the beginning that we are going to get a guy from the portal. You said we're not going to go with Emery. We're not going to go with one of the kids. You said from the beginning, Gio, we're going with the guy. Do you feel the same thing? We don't know them yet, but do you feel next year they may want to break that cycle or bring in somebody but not bring in a front runner, or because Coleman may be ready or Nickel may be ready? Or do you think they're going to go ahead and every year try to go for the best quarterback in college football?
I think the way it's going to boil down is just simply this. Until there is a guy they absolutely believe in from a mental standpoint, talent, and consistency. And what I mean by consistency is protecting the ball. I think they'll continue to go the transfer route. And, hey, you got to beat them out. You got to show that you're good enough to play here, basically. And I get what fans are saying, like, oh, well, these high school quarterbacks, and we don't take any 5-stars or anything like that. A lot of coaches now would prefer to pay the transfer guy coming in the big amount of money, the big bags, because just the trend, how it's gone in college football as well. You look at it just this past season, all the Final Four teams, all transfer quarterbacks, each of those 4 teams, all guys who transferred into those programs. So naturally, there's quarterbacks who were 5 stars just a year ago who have already transferred. There are quarterbacks from 2 years ago that are already on their second or third program that have entered the transfer portal again.
Correct.
So it's just a constant revolving door, a conveyor belt of sorts of guys coming in and leaving. Coming in.
Do you think we're going to see more guys since junior college? They don't want to be a high profile quarterback and go. There's going to be guys that say, I want to play as opposed to sitting on the bench. You think about Lorenzo Ball, people like that. His dad, like he wanted his kid, I'm going to play at a junior college where I don't lose any eligibility, or I'm going to play at a smaller school, go to an Ivy League school, go to whatever, to play so I don't have to be. Now, they're still getting paid. They're on the sideline. They're on they're ready in case for an emergency, obviously. So I think there's a reason for wanting to go to the big time schools, and they're doing the scout team. They're around a big organization. They can always transfer, but the big thing is they're getting paid now. I mean, what is a Darian Coleman, a Luke Nickel? What are they getting paid to sit on the sideline?
Good money, honestly. If especially for not starting yet or anything like that, they're being paid good money. Obviously, it's not 7 figures like the big time quarterbacks in college football, but they're getting paid great money.
They're biding their time. They're getting more than
education, practicing, and refining their craft,
and going to school for an education. So that is a good point. The fact that they're getting paid now, which is the NIL. People, I feel so bad for this guy. He's not even playing. He's a freshman. You get to be acclimated to school, a sophomore. All you need, we know, is one good year. Now, granted, everybody wants to be the all-time best thrower in college football, but that's not happening anymore because guys are not going to be playing. And most guys are not going to play 3, 4, 5 years anymore if they're a star. Now, Cam Ward did, but he started off, he was a nobody. I mean, guys start off as nobodies. He made his way up from a 0-star to, obviously, to where'd he go? Washington State was second school. First school was the Division II, and then it was the Hurricanes. It was a team in between. I'm not even sure, but these guys get they go ahead and to have plenty of opportunities. So I think I answer my own question. I think in that respect, kids can go ahead and get acclimated to school and just say, hey, I need 1 or 2 good years. All right, I answered it. Good night, everybody.
By the way, I figured out why the chat is not as busy. The Elon Musk is having some issues with X right now.
Was he really?
Yeah, the algorithms and everything for people to see the live videos, they're not popping up on everyone's feeds right now. Because I was just I've been watching the Broyles Award one for the top assistant coach in college football. I've been having it to the side here because they're having some events right now with it, and Coach Heatherman is up for the award. Yeah, it's not even showing up on their main page. It's like disappearing from pages and everything. I figured because I looked at the comments. I'm like, man, we get like hundreds of comments like every single time. And then this time was a little slower. I was wondering what was going on.
Well, that's good news for us.
Let's see. Eastside Shad. How talented is our offensive line for next season? So in terms of talent, I don't think the offensive line is going to be as good as this past season. I think just naturally because it was a cohesive group. You had Francis and Inez Cooper playing for you for 3 years already. Matthew McCoy and Samson Okalola obviously returning help. That brings back chemistry. Ryan Rodriguez has played more snaps than fans even realize. He was 6 offensive linemen in many different sets this season. And I just think for the most part, it's tough to replace that group. Obviously, you got to figure out your tackle positions. If Jackson Cantwell is going to be your left tackle or your right tackle, is he going to be ready for the speed of the game and everything? All those questions will be answered in the spring. Is Matthew McCoy going to move outside? Could Jamal Merriweather potentially win one of those spots this offseason. There's so many questions revolving around that. I mean, my prediction of the line, I think it'll probably go something like Matthew McCoy, Samson Okunlola, Ryan Rodriguez, Max Buchanan, and oh my goodness, and Jackson Campbell. I think it'll go something like that from left to right, but I could be wrong. And I think Jamal Merriweather will be the swing lineman who will be like the sixth guy and come in on rotations and whatnot. But I don't think it'll be as good as the group last year, but I do have faith and belief in what Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal have done with the offensive line at Miami, that I don't think you're going to see this total regression where they all of a sudden become the 2022 group, that group was the one that Mario and Alex Mirabal didn't have their guys yet. They didn't really have anyone yet. It was just all the previous coaches' guys and any potential transfers here or there, but mostly it wasn't their guys. It wasn't until the next year and the year after, which was 2024, that the offensive line took a step each year. So no, I don't think as talented as this past year, but I'm not expecting some massive drop-off that they're just a bad group. I think it's going to be a good group, a good, solid group. And I think it also goes hand in hand with what Darian Mensah is capable of doing in terms of extending plays, that I think it'll be fine. I think he's a bit more mobile in terms of in the backfield and in the pocket than Carson Beck was, that I think it'll be fine. Now, if Miami had a quarterback that couldn't improvise a lot in the backfield, then I would have some concerns. Yeah.
How was our offensive line compared to 2 years ago when Cam Ward was the quarterback, who's similar to, obviously was similar to Mensah?
I think Jalen Rivers was a solid player. Francis Mauanoa was in his second year, which was that year prior. I think Francis got even better as a junior. You obviously see it now with the NFL draft projections. Everyone believes he's the best tackle overall. Even his footwork got better this year too. I think it could be relatively comparable. I'm going to put it more on the scale of the 2023 group, in my opinion, which that offensive line was a good group who had Matt Lee and Javion Cohen, Jalen Rivers, Francis, Inez, all those guys were on that line. I think this group can be comparable to that. I don't want to put it in terms of the 2024 or 2025 group.
It's a good point. So it's so if they're not as good, so we're back to, so this line will be comparable to, probably better than what Cam Ward had.
I don't think I would say better, but I think comparable.
Okay.
Let's see. Juan Manuel Gio, do you think Miami breaks the school sack record with a playoff run? Also, will Miami have the top wide receiver of the talent is used correctly, like speed of Evandrivius Jacobs, the size of Josh Moore and Mylan Paris? Okay, so in terms of the sack record with the playoff run, you mean like the school sack record or just sack record in general nationally? And I've said this before, like in terms of my thoughts on Damon Wilson, I think he's a better pure pass rusher, in my opinion, than Akeem Mesidor, but I just don't think he's as good as against the run, which you're going to need guys like Armando Blunt and Hayden Lowe to really come up big in those spots. You hope Marquise Lightfoot continues to take another big step this year. A lot of flashes this past year, was really impressive, especially in the playoffs. But in terms of top wide receiver talent, if it's used correctly, I definitely think they could be a top 3 group easily in the country. And I think just right off the bat, when you point to a Malachi Tony and Cooper Barkate, who are both 2 of the top 3 returning in the country for Power 4 receivers in terms of production last year, absolutely. So I think it could be a top 3 group. So yeah, wow. Top wide receiver group in the country. Yeah, I think it could definitely be in that discussion, especially with a quarterback like Darian Mensah and the success he had in terms of downfield throwing. like I get it. The big thing is, he had almost 4,000 yards and 34 touchdowns. But to me, the bigger thing with Darian Mensah is his success he had throwing downfield. I think that's going to help out so much for Miami's offense, just being more explosive. Juan Manuel Gio, we need to get Markel Bell back. Come back, Markel Bell. Why didn't Miami fight more for Bell? If Bell would have challenged in court, he would win. So two things there. It wasn't necessarily that Miami had to fight for him or anything. It was more so the waiver that he had to apply for, and the playoff run kind of changed things there. Initially he was leaning towards coming back. Some people have brought it up. They're like, oh, like what if he goes to court now and everything? He's so far into the draft process. I don't think that he would do that right now.
It goes along with what I said, though. Guys go once they commit to the draft, where the NBA is sending guys already back to college or guys are going back to college that already been drafted. It doesn't make any sense. As it is, football players make the least amount of money. They have the highest risk job. They play the least amount of years. And now it's like, hey, as soon as you sneeze, you're in the draft. You're in the draft. But everybody's coming back. But you're right. Even if you didn't fill out, I didn't fill out the paperwork. So I don't know why any of these guys. Now I know if you can get paid good money. I mean, nobody knows exactly what does a guy like that would have made. Would he have made $500,000? I don't know. 300, $300,000, whatever it is. It depends where he's drafted. Where he would have made more.
Yeah, I just got a message from two people actually. It said one person told me that they can't really see the live feed. That it kind of like comes in and out for them. And another person shared here that you can't share it either. Yeah. The X algorithm's having problems right now. I knew it when I saw the thing with the Broyles Award. I'm like, wait a minute, something's going on here. But
I'm going to Elon right now and see if he can fix it for us.
Let's see. Eddie Delva, interesting question here. Good evening, gentlemen. With the quality and depth that we have at defensive end this year, any chance that Cole McConaughey, listed at 6'5", 250, that he would likely put on more mass in the spring and get reps at D tackle? Thank you. I know he's capable of playing some inside, like on the interior of the defensive line. They've cross-trained him a bit there before in the past, like some of the other defensive ends, like Bain and Mesidor and Lowe have done, and Blunt. I don't know about like a full-time move, though. I'm not sure on that. New King God. Are spring games going to be on TV this year? I would absolutely expect that to be, because a lot of the reason why teams were kind of closing down their spring games was for other teams to not watch and say, hey, I want to poach this player and that player and number 7 and number 12 and number 24. And yeah, you get in and catch the drift.
Thank you for advertising him for us. We appreciate that. We're going to grab him now. Yeah.
Actually, Juan Manuel mentioned something great here. He said, I think so because no spring portal. Absolutely. You didn't even have to think, Juan Manuel. You had it right on the money. Yeah, spring games will be more televised again with that change. However, one of the interesting things I want to see this year is, are any players going around the country, at least, is anyone going to try to pull an Xavier Lucas? And since there's technically no transfer portal, but unenroll from your school and enroll at a new institution, whether you don't like the situation with your current team or whatever XYZ reason there is, I want to see if that happens. And I think it could happen. I'm not saying like in terms of Miami, but I'm just saying in general. I think a few kids are going to try it this offseason.
I'm sure it's proved that they can do whatever they want. I mean, it's like, hey, if you ask for it, you get it.
Let's see. Andrew Silverman said, hi, guys.
Hi, Andrew. I forgot to text you to tell you the show is on, but it's on. Thank you for finding us.
Juan Manuel said, hey, Emmitt Smith is an honorary Hurricane. He was more Cane than Gators. Jimmy was his head coach. Michael Irvin was his best pal. He even wore Shane Curry and Jerome Brown initials to honor them. Yep. New King God, will Miami have a top 5 recruiting class by the time the season begins? Well, by the time the season begins, that's tough to say. I'll answer that one as we're more into spring and March, because I kind of want to get a feel for it if some of these kids are going to make their decisions late, or they're going to do summer, or some kids are potentially going to decide in spring. There's big safety Miami's after, not the Samoan one, if people are wondering, but one from Georgia that he could potentially be making a commitment in the spring. So I got to see. I little too early for me to say that, but I do think they could finish top 5. I absolutely do think so, with the way everything's positioned for this class. Kiwi Boy said, how's New York coming along? Juan Manuel said, by December 21st, it's cold as hell in NYC. My balls are blue with cold. Juan Manuel said, how is it in your state, guys? It's great here in South Florida. Actually, the cold went away towards the end of last week. We got some of the heat back. I do miss the cold a little bit, though. I mean, it was a nice breeze outside for a bit. At one point, it got a little too cold, but
this has been the best season. This has been the best winter we've had in a long time. I mean, we hit record lows. Where some of the rest of the country, they hit record lows, aren't happy. Ours was cold for a while, but it's been awesome. The weather has been phenomenal. I still think our weather is as good as anybody from November to March. Sometimes we get nice cool weather in April and even May, but it's been phenomenal, the weather here this year. Even better than normal. The cool days, you get to see it. It's awesome. Everybody is moving to South Florida.
Kiwi Boy said here, they better not let Mario creep up on a number 1 class. Yeah, we'll see. It's very tough to get a number 1 overall class, but Andrew Silverman, if Miami gets wide receiver Zion Vilma, he will be a January 2027 enrollee. Every top 20 team has already offered him 63 total offers. He is another Tony with true breakaway speed. I know exactly who you're talking about. He plays in the Palm Beach area. I know Miami also likes him at safety too. Potentially playing defensive back, but we'll see. But he is
Jonathan.
I'm not sure the exact relation, but I have overheard that they are related.
How many?
I don't know, like the exact, like if it's cousin or nephew or.
So he's a safety and he's a wide receiver.
Yeah, he could play DB and receiver. Not sure where Miami prefers him at right now, because they're after several big time receivers this year. But I have heard that he's expected to visit for spring, though. He's already visited during the season, actually. Canes Jones said, happy Thursday, guys. Go Canes. Thank you, Canes Jones.
Great seeing Canes Jones in the house.
Juan Manuel, Tyrann Mathieu, Fitzpatrick made the nickel famous. Minka Fitzpatrick, yes. Minka Fitzpatrick is a good nickel. Tyrann Mathieu as well, yes. Scott will bring it back because of his value, plus punt return. Yes, people forget Keontae Scott was a really good punt returner when he was at Auburn.
I hope the Dolphins get him. I'm announcing it now.
Punt return is 2 players in 1. Scott is good enough to make the NFL as punt return. Absolutely. Blue Green Street, when will they release the spring game dates?
I thought they did already.
They have not, but I'll make an announcement soon.
Okay.
Let's see. Kiwi Boy mentioned Moten and Lyle 100%. I've heard Moten is fine. Lyle has been working out as well, so yeah. Canes Jones, I think it's like the center position. Once the staff feels comfortable with what we have in that position, then we may step out on faith with what we have in every position, even the QB. I absolutely agree, Canes Jones. I said that. I think when it reaches a point that there's someone organically that comes in the program from the high school ranks that gives them enough trust, that is consistent enough and has the talent level to play where they want to play at, I think then they'll turn over the keys. But until then, I still expect transfers. I think it'll be evident too for people when they do that. You'll hear things on a younger quarterback that, hey, this guy's taking the next step. Maybe he's not going to be the starter this year, but it's actual legitimate player. That hasn't happened yet with any of the backups in recent years. Juan Manuel, Brett and Gio, how was your Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime experience? Did you take a selfie in VIP and say cheese? It was all right. I got heckled by some people I wasn't like, wow, by the performance. But, long story short, I listened to a lot of music from Bad Bunny. I've seen stuff of his concerts and everything. I was just expecting more. It wasn't anything else aside from that. But it was fine. To me, it wasn't an all-timer, but it was a good performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't think it ranked up there with Prince and Michael Jackson even and Paul McCartney and those guys. So I did take that time after watching for about 5 minutes to go ahead and just get a snack. But it was, but it was, a lot of people liked it. Some people didn't. Everybody gets their own opinion, which is a great thing. And that's the great thing about America.
Absolutely. User FZ9. What happens if the quarterback you get out of the portal gets hurt?
A do-over.
You got a good old saying. Then you are SOL. You are out of luck.
That happens. So who will be our backup is the question, which is the good part for user FJK459862. Who would be Nichols, Judd Anderson, Darren Coleman? Who's going to be? Well, obviously, they're going to have to win it in spring practice.
To me, the real backup competition, unless something has changed from what I saw in practice, to me the real backup competition is Luke Nickel and Darion Coleman, in my opinion. I thought Judd Anderson was very, very raw. It's weird how to explain Judd Anderson, and I don't want to totally write him off. However, still very raw, tremendous athlete, being 6'7", over 215, 220. If quarterback never worked out, I think Judd Anderson could be a hell of a tight end, in my opinion. But just placement issue there, and in terms of just consistency with accuracy of the ball. I think that's the biggest thing that Judd Anderson has to work on from what I've seen. Now, when it comes to Luke Nickel, gunslinger mentality, but a bit turnover prone over the past year. I want to see if he's improved with that. I love Darion Coleman's arm talent, but I want to see how he responds to the college game early on. Is he going to pick up things early, or is it going to be a little bit of a learning curve? We'll see.
There's been a lot of quarterbacks that have been gunslingers that have done very well, that have been intercept. And with Mario does not like that. I mean, in the NFL, you've got Brett Favre, who was obviously a gunslinger. You got Baker Mayfield in college, guys like that were just, quite a few gunslingers. So as he gets better, he looked very good in high school, Nickel, but he is. But a gunslinger to me is usually a confident guy. And a confident guy is usually a good leader. So on the Judd Anderson tight end, there's been a lot of quarterbacks that have played. Jim Jensen, who played at Boston University and then went to Miami Dolphins, was a great tight end. Other guys that have been if you're a quarterback, you're an athlete. So if he can play tight end at 6'9", at some point they should try to, if you believe that, some point they should try to put him in there. Why do you believe that he will be a good tight end besides his size?
Tremendous athlete. He can absolutely run. So I think at least, I got to see in comparison to Darion Coleman this spring, but of the quarterbacks last year, like the guys that were all on the roster, Judd Anderson was the most athletic of those guys.
Really? And he's what, 6'9", right?
6'7", maybe
6'7".
even pushing 6'8".
So he's 6'7", a big guy for a tight end. He's an athlete. You see these quarterbacks that are athletes. That's a big guy to take down also if they can draw up some plays for him. Because obviously, what does he weigh? Probably 250?
No, he's about 220s, 225.
All right. So would he be too light for a tight end, or he have to put on some weight?
Just a little bit of weight, not too much.
But yeah, that'd be a kind of a great target for us out there. So it'd be interesting if they could be. It's like basketball. If this guy may have played a lot of these basketball players never played football, and they turn out to be. Look at Jimmy Graham. Look at Antonio Gates. That was the hot thing for a while in the NFL. Let's grab guys that played basketball and put them as they know positioning. So
Clive Walford was one of those type of guys. He was a former basketball guy in high school, played football his last year, and then exploded as a tight end at Miami.
I wonder if Judd Anderson played at all basketball. That'd be interesting.
He did, actually.
Okay, so he's our next great tight end. Thank you.
Andy Adamas. Hello. Thank you for stopping by, Andy, as always.
Hey, Andy Adams. Great customer.
Eddie Delva, thank you. Andrew Silverman said, yes, Zion Vilma is the cousin of Jonathan Vilma. Okay. Juan Manuel, have an answer. The NCAA can't punish the player if they do an Xavier Lucas, but they can threaten the school with forfeiting games played by that player. Schools won't risk it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can the NCAA do anything anymore? I mean, I know if they could, they're going to do something to us.
Let's see here. Andrew Silverman said, Brett, let's get Zion Vilma his first NIL deal. Get him on the show.
I'd love to bring him on. A few things. I know, obviously, Andy, you have connections with him. Let's make it happen. Let's put it together.
Juan Manuel said, is Vilma related to John Vilma? Yes. I met John Vilma. The man is articulate and can speak multiple languages. Yes, John Vilma is a very smart, intelligent man.
I've met Jonathan Vilma several times too, and I've only spoken English to him. Languages, I will study them upon them.
Let's see. Canes Jones shared here. The best man that wins at Green Tree. Yep. And then he said, Luke and Coleman Anderson. Anderson is the new Williams. Yeah, I could see that. Juan Manuel. Great job, guys. Will you be back on tomorrow? What is selling right now? Mensa jersey and Malachi new #1. So, yes, we will be back on again tomorrow. Hopefully, Elon fixes the X algorithm because it's messing with the comments here. But, yes, we'll be back on again tomorrow, same time. Another hour and a half again tomorrow. I know people have been asking for more shows, so we're committing to that. We're going to be doing that this year. You're going to see multiple shows on. Also, Brett, in terms of the Mensa jersey and Malachi, well, I could probably answer that for Brett already. Those won't be ready yet because their numbers haven't changed yet.
Yeah, so we're waiting on that. There's going to be, we have the greatest selection of jerseys in CanesWear history coming this year. And whoever's going to be #1, we have a lot of #1s coming, like close to 4,000 #1 jerseys that'll be stitched. Just got to add his name, which will be whoever's name. Just make them both #1. And go ahead and it is determined, right? The one is already, or haven't made it official yet?
Hasn't been official,
Okay.
but it's likely that Mensa wears 10 and Malachi goes to 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. But whatever they are, you know what? As long as they get along and they have good connection and the best connection in college, that'll be great. But we're excited for both of them. We've got a lot of throwback jerseys coming as well this year, which is very exciting. The baseball stuff is in, a couple of new nice jerseys. I've got a bunch of new different shirts coming in. So right now it's been a quiet, but got a sale on all of the, if you didn't get Fiesta Bowl merchandise or Cotton Bowl merchandise, Jeff does mark down those shirts and hats, which is really cool. I mean, the Cotton Bowl, any year in the last 20, we would have been so excited to beat Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. You can get a T-shirt, you can get a hat, both on sale for that. The Fiesta Bowl, we beat Mississippi. We got the shirt and the hat for that too. So running out of some sizes. So right now, I think they're like 40%, 30 to 50% off on those, which is exciting. Those are great games. They'll never, those wins will never be taken away from us. So it's a lot of good stuff right now that we have, but look for more stuff we'll be announcing soon. And hopefully we're going to have some signings too, working on some players as well.
Absolutely. Fun, exciting times. Even though it is the off season, it never ends.
Never ends. And this is a great off season because like we said, we're usually off season starts in November pretty much. We're done with the season. We've lost the last couple of games of the year in the cold weather. Who cares about that darn bowl game? And now we're already in March almost. We're February, and we played in the national championship. We could have easily won. We have spring practice coming up. We got baseball, as we said, a team that went further than they've gone in several years. And then we've got basketball with a new coach, new blood, new excitement. I mean, it's a great time. Of course, at CanesWear, we're also got the Panthers. They back-to-back champions. They're battling right now. We've got 10 guys in the Olympics. So I don't know how we're going to do, but we got a ton of Panther stuff. And we've got Miami Heat, Miami Dolphin, Florida Marlins, and all that exciting. And then in Miami, the reigning champions in soccer, which most people probably may or may not.
Yeah, they'll be playing. Inter Miami will be playing in their new stadium pretty soon.
Absolutely. So
I heard it's likely for April that they'll play for the first time there. Yeah.
They moved it fast. And when I was younger, and a lot of people that are my age know that there was really nothing here. There was the Miami Hurricanes and the Miami Dolphins, and that was it. There was no. I mean, they had the Miami Floridians for a while in the 70s. They had wrestling at the Miami Beach Convention Center, the Miami Floridians, but that was it. There was no Heat. There was no Panthers. There was no Marlins. There was nothing except for hanging out at the beach every day and enjoying yourselves. There were not really video games in those days either. And there was definitely no internet or social media.
All righty, Brett. So we're going to get up out of here. Everyone, please make sure to shop at CanesWear at Miami Fanwear, located at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. You could also check them out online at CanesWear.com. We'll be back tomorrow. And as always, go Canes.
Go Canes. We will see you guys soon. Thank you for stopping in.